Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Comic Book Hollywood video segment right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly. As always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Comic Book Hollywood movie review. And this week, I will be taking a look at Sam Raimi's 2004 film, Spider-Man 2. Now, Spider-Man 2 is a 2004 American superhero film directed by Sam Raimi and written by Alvin Sargent from a story by Alfred Gough, Miles Millar, and Michael Chabon. The sequel to the 2002 film Spider-Man, it is the second film in Raimi's Spider-Man film trilogy based on the fictional Marvel Comics character of the same name. Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, and James Franco reprised their roles as Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson, and Harry Osborn respectively. Set 2 years after the events of Spider-Man, the film focuses on Peter Parker struggling to manage both his personal life and his duties as Spider-Man. Dr. Otto Octavius, Alfred Molina, who takes a turn for the diabolical following a failed experiment and the death of his wife. Using his mechanical tentacles, Octavius is dubbed Dr. Octopus and threatens to endanger the lives of the people of New York City. Spider-Man must stop him from annihilating the city. So yeah, that's pretty much that's pretty much as brief and concise of a summary as you can pretty much get without giving away too much stuff. Cool, we knocked that out. Awesome. So now let's talk about did the brief summary. Let's talk about the writing of the film. Now, Spider-Man 2 is easily one of my favorite comic book superhero films. Definitely in the top, I would probably say in the top, probably in the top 3, definitely. And the reason for that being is because I think Spider-Man 2 is, I would go as far as to say Spider-Man 2 is probably, in regards to the claim I just made, it's probably also one of the best comic book superhero sequels ever made. And the reason why I say that is because it builds perfectly on top of the foundation that it set in its first film with the first Spider-Man film. It builds on top of that and it expands it. It dwells into it dwells into so many more themes. It takes risk on so many more. I mean, hell, just going into just some of the scenes in the film that are, you know, a bit darker or more suspenseful, and I mean, upping the ante with like the train fight scene. One of the best scenes I've seen in film. One of the best fight scenes I've seen in film. Period. That train fight sequence, just that whole thing, you know. So I mean, the themes that the movie deals with, we finally get the internal struggle with Peter Parker in the second film. Not to say that it wasn't in the first, but in the first, it's the origin. It's Peter learning to become Spider-Man. You know, Spider-Man trying to, you know, make his stamp on the city, make his mark, actually make a difference. Whereas Spider-Man 2, this is when we get Peter second-guessing himself. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done this. How long can I keep doing this? Look at everything I'm losing. Is this worth it? Am I really making a difference? Do people really give a shit? I mean, all these questions. And then, of course, there's the physical metaphor. What with Peter losing his ability to web shoot, which is another thing. When you're talking about adaptating comic book material. Now, of course, one of the big, you know, one of the most bullshit arguments that fucking rabid fanboys made about the Raimi films is, we don't like the biological web shooters. Not that it makes a fucking difference. Especially since I'm one in favor of bio web shooters. Why? Because it makes more fucking sense. Having a man named Spider-Man who can't fucking naturally create webs, that's like Hawkman not being able to fly. The fuck? Thank you. So, but what they did was, Spider-Man 2 is when they actually tackled that whole idea of Peter actually running out of webbing. And it became a physical thing because, of course, it's generated, you know, biologically. It's in his, you know, in his system. But this all of these second guesses and all, Peter doubting himself, all these doubts and all these fears, this mental pressure that Peter is experiencing in this film correlated in a very physical disability. Peter could no longer do that. All of these things I'm talking about works. So pretty much to kind of wrap up what that point, Spider-Man 2 works really well because it takes the foundation of the first film and it builds on top of it, and it goes into so much interesting territory. And especially at the end of Spider-Man 2, with what they were able to stamp out in that film, the sky really was the limit for the third film. But then of course we all know how that turned out. Since we're on the topic of writing, before I actually get into the acting, fuck it. Let's go into the characters. I've already discussed Peter, pretty much, his whole thing in the film. Another character I need to address, though, when you talk about Spider-Man 2, you're talking about Otto Octavius. Look, Alfred Molina, great fucking actor. Granted, this was one of like the earliest Alfred Molina films that I saw. Because remember, I was in high school when this. I was like, what, freshman year? Yeah, freshman year when this came out. And I didn't really get into Alfred Molina's like body of work until later on in high school. But Dr. Octavius, he did that shit. And dude, just Octavius' whole character arc, of course, you do have the whole cliche kind of tragic scientist thing, the scientist, falling prey to his creation, that thing. But then, the way they handle the whole redemption thing, and I'm telling you, I still fucking tear up watching this film. And at the end in the climax, when fucking Doc Ock, when he says that line, "I will not die a monster," just, whoo, man, come on, bruh. Look, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's one of the best portrayals of character redemption in comic book superhero movies to date. Not too many fucking films have been able to do that in the same way that Spider-Man 2 have. There have been a few, a few good films have been able to do that, but man, and remember 2004, this was still before we started getting the slew of comic book superhero films. So it kind of set the standard, it set the bar pretty damn high in that regard. But other great performances. I like James Franco's performance in Spider-Man 2. I like it a hell of a lot better than in Spider-Man 1. But hear me out. It's not because of James Franco as an actor, because he's a good actor, period. It's because of how Harry's written in Spider-Man 2. It makes a lot more sense. I don't care for Harry Osborn's character at all. I don't like the I don't like the snooty little rich boys. Oh, I have everything in the world but my daddy's love. I don't like that shit. I look at it as that's the price you pay for the life you were born into. Deal with it. But so I don't care for Harry Osborn as a character, period. I don't give a damn what it is. Comics, cartoon, I don't like Harry at all. But I like the way Harry's written in the second film. Yeah, you needed to get all that shit, all the shit with Harry. You needed that in the first film so that it could do more interesting shit with him, and I like what they did with him. Which, it's pretty straightforward. Harry's running Oscorp now, and of course he hates Spider-Man. That's pretty much Harry's whole fucking arc. But I like that they took Harry's character in that direction. You see what I'm saying? I like that the conflict with Harry and Spider-Man, but also and then of course because you guys who have seen Spider-Man 2 knows what happens between Peter and Harry in that film. I like that shit came about in the second film, and like I said, it was another one of those things that opened up some interesting possibilities for the third film, and of course the third film didn't. Well, in that for that though, they kind of delivered, but then they shit on it later. It's like they They brought the cake to the party. They did. They brought the cake to the party, but they smashed it in the box. So nobody got a taste. Other good actors. Let's see. Oh, Rosemary Harris as Aunt May. Favorite fucking scene in this whole film. One of my favorite scenes in film, period. The discussion with her and Peter during the garage sale. You know, that whole I believe there's a hero in all of us speech. Fucking love that monologue. And yeah, I tear up every time I watch that monologue. And yeah, I feel fucking empowered every time I watch that monologue, because that's real to me, and especially because I'm a comic book fan, but also a comic book creator. Like, you know, just what she says about the power of an icon, the power of a symbol, of an image, what it means to people. But then, of course, that little thing with Henry, with the little neighborhood boy, what Spider-Man meant to him. It's the same thing as what, you know, Spider-Man and characters like, you know, Superman and Captain America, what they meant to me as a kid. So when I'm watching that, you know, I can put myself in that kid's position, and I can put myself in Peter's position, listening to Aunt May talk about that. Is really powerful fucking stuff. Really powerful stuff. Okay, so now that I got acting out of the way, not to make this review too long, I'm trying to wrap this up. Cinematography, CGI, great fucking stuff. Like I said, that train fight scene, man. Oh, and also the fight on the clock tower. And come on. Now, for you, those of you all who remember the trailer when this movie was first released, when that fucking cab went through the fucking cafe window, come on, man. That shit was good. I mean, you gotta remember, man, the Spider-Man films, when they first came out, were pushing the envelope on what was possible with CGI. Remember, this is 2004. This is before, you know, everybody started using CGI, you know. This was before CGI came as popular in Hollywood as fucking auto-tune is in the music industry, you know. CGI was still kind of new, you know. We were still pushing the envelope on what could be done with it. And the Spider-Man franchise was one of the biggest like studio blockbuster franchises that was pushing the envelope with CGI. I mean, shit, to be honest with you, back then, in early 2000s, you're pretty much talking about like the Spider-Man franchise, you're talking about the Lord of the Rings, Matrix, like those were like three of the biggest franchises that was really pushing that shit. The Harry Potter franchise too, not to forget them. Oh, and the Star Wars prequels, those two. Those were like the biggest franchises really pushing the envelope with the CGI. Music. Fucking love the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack. I mean, shit, two of my favorite songs on that soundtrack. Two of my favorite songs, period. Vindicated by Dashboard Confessional and Ordinary by Train. Love them fucking songs. Ooh, love them songs. So yeah, so pretty much wrapping up my review, my final rating on Spider-Man 2, 5 out of 5, easy. Not even, you know, that's not even, for me, that's not disputable. 5 out of 5. Like I said, one of my favorites, but I'll go fucking 20 rounds with you arguing, or debating, not arguing, actual debate. Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest comic book adaptations ever made, period. And depending on who it is I'm debating, I probably could also debate the greatest, period. But depending on who I'm debating. What? I like the song. Anywho, but that's going to wrap it up for me. So I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. And in the comments below, leave your suggestions for next week's Comic Book Hollywood movie review. That being said, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and until next time, peace.